ويقول صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله لا ينتزع العلم انتزاعا وإنما يقبضه بقبض العلماء حتى إذا لم يبق عالم اتخذ الناس رؤوسا جهالا فسئلوا فأفتوا بغير علم فضلوا وأضلوا.
I want to read to you something that some of our brothers put together, and then they published it, regarding the Shia and the Rafida and the reality of who these people are. Some of our brothers in America, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them, that they put together some comments of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. So, you find these people always attacking the Salafis. That the Rafida today, when you look at them and they say, they're saying, look, we will help the Palestinian people. Rafida, like the ones in Yemen, the Houthies and the Rafida of Iran and other than them, and South Lebanon. This is just a fursa that they're using, an opportunity that they're using to deceive the Muslims. If you read some of the statements of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, then because of the greatness of this Imam and his great insight into the Rafida and what he says, and he has a whole refutation against them. Minhaj al-Sunnah al-Nabawiyya, the book of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, 8 volumes, 9 volumes? The whole book is a refutation of the Shia, the Rafida. So Shaykh al-Islam said in Minhaj al-Sunnah, he said the Rafida are the donkeys of the Jews. They ride them into every fitna. Shaykh al-Islam also said in Minhaj al-Sunnah, the Rafida were the greatest reason for the capture of Jerusalem by the Crusaders until the Muslims recaptured it from them. He also said in Majmu' al-Fatawa, volume 4, 472, he said, for indeed, when they approach the best of this ummah, they are hostile towards them, the Rafida. But regarding the enemies of Allah, whether it be the Jews or the Christians or the pagans, polytheists, they are loyal to them. They are, as Ash-Sha'bi said about them, and he was the most knowledgeable regarding the Rafida. If the Rafida were livestock, they'd be donkeys. And if they were birds, they'd be vultures. End of the words of Ibn Taymiyyah. Then Shaykh al-Islam also said in Minhaj al-Sunnah al-Nabawiyya, volume 1, he said their assistance to the Jews is a well-known fact up until the people considered them as the donkeys of the Jews, that the Jews would ride on their backs to attack and destroy Islam. Shaykh al-Islam also said, rahimahullah, in volume 2 of Minhaj al-Sunnah al-Nabawiyya, he said, and because of that, there isn't anyone from the Imams of fiqh, from the scholars of fiqh, that is referred to, that is a Rafidi. Nor from the Imams of hadith, nor zuhd, nor worship, nor from the aided and supported armies, a Rafidi army. There is not from the aided and supported armies a Rafidi army, nor from the kings who aided Islam, established Islam, and fought against its enemies, that was a Rafidi, nor from the ministers who had a good reputation, who was a Rafidi. Likewise, Ibn Taymiyyah said in volume 3 of Minhaj al-Sunnah, and it is well known from their loyalty to the Jews, Christians and polytheists, and the Rafida assisting them in fighting against the Muslims, that which is known specifically and generally, up until it was said, indeed a Jew and a Muslim does not fight, nor a Christian and a Muslim, nor a polytheist and a Muslim, unless that the Rafidi is with the Jew or the Christian or the Mushrik. Minhaj al-Sunnah, volume 3. So this is Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah in his insight on the Rafida. Now you see them singing and chanting, we will help the Palestinians, we will help the Palestinians, after destroying Yemen and killing tens and thousands of Ahlul Sunnah and removing the Salafis wherever they could by killing them and killing their children and their families of the people of Sunnah. You didn't leave the people of Sunnah in Yemen. And the Rafida of Iran for decades in their rhetoric against the people of Sunnah, threatening them with war and with murder. Who is sending the weapons to the Rafida in Yemen? The Houthies against the people of Sunnah. It is these same people. You think that these same people are going to help the people of Sunnah in Palestine? They are going to help the Sunnis of Palestine? This is nothing but propaganda. And this is propaganda that they have done in cahoots with the enemies of Islam. They are the enemies of Islam that are trying to claim that they are within the fold. They are in cahoots and they are in collaboration with the enemies of Islam from outside. How did the Crusaders get Jerusalem except through the aid of the Rafida of Egypt? That's why this ruler and this general and this military ruler, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon him, Salahuddin Ayyubi, rahimahullah ta'ala, before he captured Jerusalem, what did he capture first? Egypt. Who was Egypt with? The Rafida, and the most extreme of them. He knew to cut that supply, him and his uncle, they knew that to cut off any form of support for the Christians, we have to deal with the Rafida. So the first people, that's why the Rafida hate Salahuddin Ayyubi. They hate him with a hatred that you cannot imagine, because he destroyed their Rafidi state. The Fatimid state was destroyed by Salahuddin Ayyubi and his uncle. His uncle was in charge of the army. That's why they hate him. So I say to a Rafidi, the fact that they hate the Sahaba should be enough for us. That's why Ibn Taymiyyah said that, look at they have hatred. Their kings never achieved anything for the Sunnah or for the people of Islam. Never have they achieved anything. They are the donkeys of the Jews. The Jews ride on their back. If they were animals, they'd be donkeys. If they were birds, they'd be vultures, because they eat on the dead flesh of the Muslims. This is the Rafida. Here you have, in this discussion that we've had of the great Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and we moved from the 10, and then we moved into the discussion on the grandchildren of the Prophet sallallahu. This is what we believe. This is our iman in the family of Allah's Messenger. Not that we have to, there's nothing that we need to apologize for, because this Ahlul Sunnah have always held this. Which Sunni does not love Fatima or Ali or Al-Hassan or Al-Hussein or Al-Abbas? These are the relatives of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Which Sunni does not love the wives? They hate the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look what they say about Hafsa. And look what they say about Aisha radiallahu anha or radiallahu anhuma. Look what they say about them. Evil and wicked speech. If there is anyone who is filled with hatred for Islam and the carriers of Islam, it's these Shia. The 12ers who call themselves, we are the 12ers. Yeah, you're 12. May Allah give you what you deserve in the fire and in your graves, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides you. Because there are Rafida who leave. Some of the Rafida, they're raised, and you meet them and they say, we've never heard it. And it's true. They've never heard this. Because most of the Rafida, they don't have any education in the Sharia or in the Deen. They just beat themselves for 10 days a year. And the rest of the time, they just enjoy life up until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroys them. But there are those from amongst the Shabab, from amongst the Rafida, who do not know their own beliefs, what their parents believe and what their grandparents believe and what their forefathers believe. So when this is said to them, say, how can you have this much hatred? How can you have this much hatred for those who accompanied Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Those who said, La ilaha illallah. How can you have this much hatred? You are the ones who are, and then you claim that you love the Palestinians. A person who does not love the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a person who does not love Abu Huraira and Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, a person who does not love Hafsa and Aisha, how can this person love an unknown, woman walking on the streets in Gaza? They don't love you. They have no love for you. All of this from the Rafida of Iran and from the Houthies of Yemen and the Hizbullah of South Lebanon, or Hizbul Shaitan from South Lebanon. All of this is a smoke screen. They have been there. Iran has been there since 1979. What have you done? What have you done? You want to point fingers at the people of Sunnah and the rulers of Sunnah. They say only Iran is standing up. You find all of these speakers now, when they speak, they will attack all of the Muslim rulers of the lands of Sunnah, the Sunni ones, or those that we refer to as Sunni, meaning that they are non-Shi'i. Right? So you find them quick to attack the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Bahrain and so on. Iran is not mentioned. They won't mention Iran. They won't criticize them. Because the political motivation of these Harakiyin is that they want to uphold and raise this Taghuti state of the Rafida Shia. And they are willing to pour the blood of Ahlul Sunnah in the streets of the cities of the Muslim countries to gain power. So the Iranian state has been there since 1979. What have you done? Hizbullah has been there since the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, however long. What have you achieved? But you find all of them pointing their fingers. At whom? At the people of Sunnah. This is when you know the nifaq of these people, the hypocrisy of these people. Whether it's nifaq asghar or akbar. Allahu a'lam. Some of them have nifaq akbar, major hypocrisy. Some of them have lesser hypocrisy, but they are accumulating more and more hypocrisy. That's why they focus upon the Salafis. They focus upon the people of Sunnah. Whilst they remain silent regarding these donkeys, as Ibn Taymiyyah referred to them, not me, and as vultures. They remain silent about them. And they are vocal against the people of Sunnah. In the name of what? Saving the people of Sunnah in Palestine. They will not save them. And they have no intention of. And even if they got in there, they would do what they did in the 11th century. They would do what they did in the 11th century when the Crusaders came from Europe under the edict of Pope Urban. And they traveled from every part of Europe into the Holy Lands, what they refer to as the Holy Lands. And they went from city to city, burning, killing, destroying, spilling the blood of men, women and children wherever they went. Rafida aided that. That's why they hate Salahuddin Ayyubi, because Salahuddin Ayyubi and his uncle and their people, they realized we need to deal with them, then we'll deal with the Christians. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala liberated Jerusalem at the hands of these noble men. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon them.